it's Sarah Larby, producer and guest host of Everyday Investor. I'm excited for today's show with Ken and Lee from Wyse Construction and Legal Second Suites. We are going to cover a lot of information today, a lot of things about conversions, commercial to residential conversions, and a lot of other renovation tips and insights. So you are in for a treat. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
No, since the province came out with Bill 108, it's really opened things up as far as for us investors to be able to create more housing units in a lot of different areas.
Hey guys, this is John Temmering from Blackjack Contracting. This week's tip is to invest behind the walls before you worry about the pretty stuff. The stuff that goes behind your walls, your plumbing, your electrical, your HVAC, your insulation, stuff like that. Stuff that's not pretty and is the boring part is actually the most expensive part of the project, especially if you skip it in the beginning. If you go and finish and make this pretty basement and then it falls apart because you got bad wiring or plumbing, it's going to cost a hell of a lot more to fix it later. If you have to make a decision between a new electrical panel and quartz countertops, you need to take the decision with the electrical panel. It's a lot cheaper to replace a countertop 2 years from now and put quartz in than it is to to rewire your house at $10,000 plus. Stuff like that. So that's this week's tips. If you have any questions, please reach out to me.
The mortgage world has changed. Has your advice? Are you looking for a modern approach to your mortgage planning process? Advice tailored to your unique, ever-changing circumstances? Whether you're upsizing, downsizing, purchasing, or refinancing, the Kyle Ford Mortgage team works with individuals and companies to custom tailor the right mortgage product for you. Working with a wide selection of lenders, we're here to serve our clients and help them achieve their real estate and retirement goals. Contact the Kyle Ford Mortgage team today, Canada's mortgage choice.
Hey guys, Omar Khan here from Theta Trading. I want to give you guys an analogy of what options are like if you were to use the real estate world. Now imagine you go to Fantasyland, Ontario, and you look at buying a property. Let's say it's $500,000. I know they don't exist anymore, but let's just say they did. You go and you say to the homeowner, homeowner, I agree with you. Your house is worth $500,000. And before doing that, you've done your homework and you think the house will be worth $550,000, let's say a year from now. Now your choices are that you can buy the house now and you can wait for it to go up. But in the options world, imagine you could have just agreed to buy the house for $10,000 less. You tell the homeowner, I'll take the home off you for $490,000 in the next 30 days. But in exchange for you guaranteeing that $490,000 price, the homeowner, let's say, has to pay you $25,000 for the month. Is that a deal you'd take? You know you want to own the house. That is how the options market works. We simply get paid a lot of money for agreeing to buy stocks we would be buying anyways. And I hope that analogy helps you in terms of how options can be used. That's just one strategy, but that's a strategy we use here day in and day out at Theta. So if you want to learn how to buy your stocks at a discount and get paid for it, please feel free to reach out. Otherwise, we'll see you guys next week. Take care.
All right, welcome back. Ken, Lee, welcome. I'm excited to have you both on here today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no, it's great to be on the show. Thanks.
The hardest part of being a real estate investor for me originally was actually finding the right contractors, the right team to help with all of the renovations. And we've been working together for a little while now, and both of you have a tremendous amount of skill, and you predominantly also work with real estate investors. So maybe just give us a little bit of how you got started in the real estate game, what it is that you do. We'll start with you, Ken, and then we'll go to Lee.
Yeah, so I got involved in real estate back in 2018. That's when I quit my full-time job and came into the market here. I came in as a designer, helping a lot of investors with creating secondary dwelling units, basement apartments, triplexes, fourplexes, that type of stuff. That's when I got connected with Lee here. And Lee was actually one of my clients at the time. Over the years, we kept doing more and more projects together. Then we were like, hey, why not join forces? And we actually partnered, so we just partnered up this past year.
Amazing. That's awesome. And you are a real estate investor as well. And in addition, obviously, you are the expert that we go to for second suites and conversions and all that good stuff, which we'll talk about today. Lee, what about you? How did you get started in this game?
So I started about 10 years ago on a JV partnership on one duplex in Hamilton. I instantly got hooked, kept buying houses, and and then decided to start my own little construction group, primarily working for myself and on my projects. And then it kind of snowballed into a company. Working with Ken, we talked about partnering up. It kind of made sense. He's the design guy, also very knowledgeable on all the codes and the design. And then we just kind of meshed together and decided to take off.
Very cool, very cool. What is your area that you do the majority of your work in? Like, is it, Ontario? Is it specific areas in Ontario?
So on the design side, we do cover quite a range of municipalities. So we're in about 30 different municipalities, mostly in the West GTA. On the construction activity, it's mostly Hamilton, Brantford, some projects in Cambridge and Kitchener, and we do some stuff up in Burlington and Oakville as well. But we're kind of mostly trying to keep it within an hour or so of Hamilton.
Amazing. So obviously, I've been investing in a little bit, and the burst strategy is really what helped me get to where I am today in doing those conversions. But when I look back and I say, okay, well, I started in 2013, 2014, the market has changed so much since then. It's definitely a lot, I would say, more competitive. Maybe there's just less inventory as well. But let's talk maybe about some of the trends that you guys are seeing out there that may still make sense in 2022 for different conversion types or for real estate investors to make a good return on their investment.
Since the province came out with Bill 108, it's really opened things up as far as for us investors to be able to create more housing units in a lot of different areas. So we're now allowed to do obviously basement apartments, which is very common now, but also getting into coach houses and laneway houses and garden units. And so, last year was a big year for most of the municipalities to implement their secondary dwelling unit bylaws. This year we're seeing the rest kind of coming on board, but every couple months we're seeing another municipality in the province come out with their bylaws. So it's pretty much across the province we can do this strategy everywhere. And along with the trends that we're seeing, obviously with basement apartments and with the cost of housing going up and up, we're seeing a lot of people starting to get into underpinning and lowering these basements, especially in the older century homes that have very short ceiling heights. Underpinning and bench footing, they're kind of capitalized on that space. Same thing, we're seeing a lot of people getting into additions, so rear additions, going up a couple stories on their houses, adding a second story or a third story to get these additional dwelling units. Again, because land prices are going up. We're trying to capitalize on the square footage that we do have, right? And it's very important to kind of really increase the density wherever we can. Lee, maybe you want to speak to some of the commercial residential conversions that we've been doing.
So we've hit a little bit of a niche where we're buying a little bit of the commercial residential, and what we do is we're going through a conversion process now to create the commercial space into residential. It's a little bit of a longer process. We've done a few properties like this now. The returns are incredible on this. A little bit of a longer strategy than your typical single family converting to duplex or triplex, but at the end of the day, the payoff is absolutely, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, and you actually walked me through one of your projects in Hamilton where you took some storefronts that weren't going to do as well, and your finishes are beautiful. And it sounds like now the more than 2 unit conversion opportunities are really where you can go and find your best bang for your buck. I mean, obviously, I'm sure the 2 units still work in many parts, but for those little bit more expensive purchase prices, if you're in Hamilton, for example. So, so you're talking about commercial to residential. Maybe share with us a little bit of what you're looking for to see if that project might make sense to do a conversion on.
So the first thing would be to qualify the property, obviously, look at the numbers, see if they're going to work, and then also look to see if the commercial can, in fact, be zoned into residential. So Ken has all the experience in the world in doing that. There are a ton of fees involved, but at the end of the day, the numbers do always work out and do make sense. So first thing is to look at the property, see if the numbers make sense on the exit. decide if it's right for you on whether you're going to pull money out or leave money in, and then decide on if you can actually convert the commercial to residential. Anything to add there, Ken?
Yeah, whenever we're trying to create density on a project, it's always, you have to look at the zoning and seeing what the zoning permits, right? And it's very important when you're looking at these kind of downtown, kind of older commercial mixed-use buildings to see, what is permitted. And especially when we're trying to convert ground floor commercial to residential, some of these zonings actually prohibit ground floor from being residential. You can only have residential maybe up on the second level. And so this is where sometimes, you can't actually convert the commercial without maybe going through a rezoning or a minor variance process. So yes, the numbers and the reward can be bigger on a commercial mixed-use building, but the timelines are a little bit longer because, there's more approvals that we have to go through. There could be a record of site condition that's required. So whenever we're converting a commercial space to residential, we're required to have a record of site condition. And part of that process is getting a phase 1 environmental, or getting an environmental company to maybe do an exemption letter from the record of site condition. All of that can kind of take time. Another big thing that we've seen people not really realize is that there's development charges on those types of conversions.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. So you look at like what your after repair value will be once it's all finished, and then kind of work backwards from there. Subtract your fees and construction costs, and then figure out if it's worth, with your profit in there, if it's worth purchasing at that price.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, we kind of look and see what what we think the market rents will be. We kind of figure out what the cap rate is, figure out what the property will qualify on a mortgage, and then just work our numbers backwards. Usually we come out okay on them, and even if we have to leave a little bit of money in, it's real estate, and most people are okay with it. I think in today's market, leaving even as little as 5 or 10% in an investment property for long-term gain is still a great investment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you get your mortgage pay down, you get appreciation over time with being in the market. Of course, that's the cherry on top. You can't always rely on appreciation, but and the cash flow piece as well. So on that note, we are going to come back. We're going to talk more about the renovation piece. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hey, it's Kyle from the Kyle Ford Mortgage Team. This week I want to talk about how we can use our registered accounts to make money in real estate. When it comes to our RRSPs, TFSAs, we are all familiar with our mutual funds, stocks, bonds, and the traditional things that we can do. In Canada, we have the ability to self-direct our registered accounts and lend on mortgages. Not only is this great from a return perspective, this gives us real security in our retirement accounts. At the Kyle Ford Mortgage Team, we provide lending opportunities where you can lend your RRSP account on a first position mortgage starting at 10%. This is a great way to earn significant income and cash flow from that account while maintaining security in your retirement fund. If you have more questions on how this works and ways that you can get involved, don't hesitate to reach out to myself and the Kyle Ford Mortgage Team. Thanks.
Blackjack Contracting, Inc. is a premier contractor for real estate investors, having transformed over 250 single-family homes into multiple legal suites. Blackjack is proud to introduce their newest venture, reicontractor.ca. Check out reicontractor.ca to get support with planning, design, renovation services from the most experienced real estate investor contractors. reicontractor.ca. Powered by Blackjack Contracting.
Hi, it's David Smith here from the Q Theta Fund with your investment tip of the week. Now, one of the things investing in the stock market is the stock market can actually go down, and it does quite often. But that's actually a good thing. In order for the stock market to go up over time, it has to come down at times. And there's reasons for that. Sometimes the market gets very speculative, bubbles can form, people get too excited in the short term and drives the market up higher than it really should be. When the market comes down, that actually kind of is a cleansing effect, and it allows things to settle down, which eventually lets the market go up higher over time. This is something you should understand, that it's not something to be afraid of, but something to embrace and be prepared that this will happen. So in order to make money over the long term, let the market come down in the short term from time to time. It becomes a healthy market and it allows your investment and the market to grow, which is exactly what you're looking for. I'm David Smith, and that's your stock tip of the week.
Welcome back. Before the break, we were talking about conversions, and we really are going to take a deeper look in all we need to know about from a renovation and construction standpoint. So just to recap, somebody has a property, they want to convert, they reach out to you essentially, and what is it that you do before Lee takes it over?
Yeah, so basically what a lot of investors do, and even real estate agents, is that they find a building or a house that looks like it can be converted, right? So what they're doing as part of their due diligence process is they're sending the address to me, and then I take a quick look, more of a high-level look into the property. Okay, can we, does it meet the zoning permitted uses? Are there going to be parking issues? Is there going to be a minor variance involved? Is this maybe a rezoning project? So that way we know what we're getting into before they put in a firm offer on that purchase. And then once they go under contract, then we get in there right away and we start the design process, because that can take some time to get all the drawings done, all the city approvals. And so, before they close, we're already getting in there and getting started on that process. And then once we get the drawings done, then we start engaging the contractors to start getting quotes on the actual project. And this is where guys like Lee and the team at Wyse Construction Group get in and provide a quote.
Yeah, and you said something I think that makes, because time is money essentially, right? And so when you remove your conditions off a purchase and sale agreement, start working with somebody like Ken, who can actually start the work with the city, because, how long does it take for a permit to be approved from the time that, let's just call it Hamilton, for example. I know everybody's a little bit different, but in Hamilton, average timeline for, let's just say a 2 or 3 unit conversion?
Yeah, like the average timeline, can be, 3-4 months sometimes to get an approval on what is considered a very straightforward, simple application. Mm-hmm. Once you start getting into like minor variances and other, we have to engage other departments like the parking department, the forestry department, planning, engineering. These projects can take 6 months, 8 months to get an approval, and as you increase density and you get beyond 3-4 units, now you're getting into like 6, 8, 9, 15 unit conversions. These can take upwards of like 10, 12 months to get approved. So the sooner you get in and get started, the better it's going to be, absolutely.
So then permits in hand, and what happens when somebody has the permits in hand from a renovation construction standpoint, Lee?
So we'll typically go in there and we'll start doing, we'll start with a quote first. We'll engage the client, see what they want to do. We have a proven method that we work with, and most of our clients, whether they're straight clients or they're JV partners, probably I would say like 9 out of 10 of them, they are okay with our process, our materials, our color palettes that we use. It keeps the process going a lot quicker. It stops any potential delays where a client may want to pick some custom stuff that may or may not be available. So we get in there. We'll if we're doing a full, let's say, basement renovation, we'll gut everything out. We'll start the steps and phases of construction, make sure we're following in suit with the inspections with the city. We complete the project, and then we kind of hand it over to the client, or if we're JVing, we'll actually do the refis with one of our partners that we bring in to do the appraisals. And then we're off to the races. We'll attach a new mortgage on it, and then we cash flow.
Amazing, and cash flow is awesome, and also being able to sometimes select your appraisers to help with that. I mean, some of them are definitely more generous than others, but let's go to the reno piece. I think it was really important when you said you've got materials and items that you've already selected, because in 2021, 2022, there's been shortages of labor, but also materials. And I think you have a good process in place where you're ordering, correct me if I'm wrong, materials ahead of time, so that for your next projects, because you're working with investors, right? We don't want to renovate for ourselves. We're renovating for the best return on our investment. Can you share a little bit of what you're doing in terms of pre-ordering to make sure materials are there?
We stock about 30 to 50,000 square feet of luxury vinyl flooring. We use a higher quality 6 to 7 mil vinyl. We stock our own tiles. We stock our own backsplash. We even stock our own cabinets now. So we keep pretty much all the finishes in stock. We have our own trim. We use a higher quality pine. We don't use MDF. So all these things we keep in stock. We keep our own Bowen faucets in stock, our shower kits, bathroom accessories, anything that we've had problems with over the last, 2 years. But even before that, we always found that having things in our own warehouse, being able to mobilize our guys with our own vehicles to come and pick up from our shop and take it to the actual construction site saved a lot of time. It actually also saved a lot of cost because we're buying in bulk. It kept the process a lot smoother, a lot quicker, a lot cleaner. And that's how we've always done things. It just so happened that during the pandemic, with the constraint on shipping and materials, we were already doing that. So it was a pretty easy process. We did have some issues with some structural items when we were getting designs from an engineering standpoint where we were not able to get LVLs. So we quickly switched the LVLs to steel, and we've just decided that steel's a better product to use anyways. We stick with the steel, and that's our product that we're using.
Like during the pandemic, with all the supply chain issues that we have, planning is key, right? To keep your project moving forward. And we find that when there's a lack of planning, then this is where delays can happen. And it goes to the very beginning of when you get that project under contract in your firm, you're starting that planning process like the very next day. Because things just take longer now to get done. And so like what the guys are doing, what we're doing at Wyse is pre-ordering, buying in bulk. So we have it there in the warehouse. So the guys aren't waiting in line at Home Depot. They go to Home Depot, the shelves are empty. That all causes delays. And these projects should take, like a typical bungalow basement should take 3 months, but sometimes they're taking 6 or 7 months because of delays. Right? So planning is key during this period.
100% agree, and I think that's super important because one of the there's a few, being in real estate for 10 years now, a few things from a renovation standpoint where when you hire the wrong contractors that don't plan, or you hire somebody that's kind of just doing one project at a time, or one project here, one project there, using different supplies. I think it goes back to the planning. If you have the materials in stock, you plan for potential shortages, you have enough staff to help, with multiple projects at once. I think that's going to be key in ensuring that you're not spending money on a vacant property, right? The more time that you're spending renovation, like on doing renovations, the more, I guess cash flow you're not getting, and then just the more it's costing you and holding costs and all that stuff. So I love that you said planning. I think that's extremely important, and that's one of the biggest issues that we see when people are doing renovations that now are taking so long because they don't have the materials. Like windows is a big problem, right? Like how. I think you guys do your basement windows. You pre-order a lot of those.
Yeah, like windows, appliances, like stuff that we know we're using on a regular basis. Like for basements, a lot of times you have to cut new openings and put in new basement windows. Well, based off of all of the projects we've done, we know what typical sizes we need. So we keep a container of windows so that we have them available, right? So we're not waiting 10 weeks to get windows, right?
We also do our own cutouts as well. So we're not waiting for the window company to come and hire a third party or a fourth party to come and do a cutout. We have our own saws. We do our own cutouts. We install our own lentils. Nice. We have our own foam equipment. So we'll pop the window in ourselves, and we're in and out a lot quicker that way. Egresses are one of the most important things when you're doing a legal conversion. The inspectors will not let you close the permits. They're very picky about fire separation and fire egresses. So we have that part covered as well.
So let's take an example of a project that you're working on, maybe just to share what that looks like, what it is that you bought, what you're converting it to, and then just some rough numbers for the viewers at home.
So I guess our most recent purchase, we haven't even started it, so I'll give you one that's kind of on the shelf that we're waiting to start on. We haven't even closed the property actually, but Ken's already working on the drawings, so that's another thing that we do. We like to start the process before a property even closes. So we bought this particular property, we paid $610,000 for it. I think the MLS listing was $299,000, so little bit crazy, but I work the numbers backwards.
And that $299 price is to get multiple offers and to get
Absolutely.
interest. It doesn't ever sell. Like if you're seeing something that's super cheap, usually people are holding offers, and you're not going to get it for that price because the true value is probably somewhere in that range.
Exactly. And to the real estate investor that's looking to do a long-term hold or a burst strategy, they will typically look at the numbers and try to determine what that house is going to be worth to a bank on an appraisal. And I came up with 1.2 million, which I think will be conservative by the time the house is completed. Using a construction budget, a rental budget of about 300,000. So if you work your numbers backwards, even if you're adding your holding costs, and in this particular one, the holding costs are about 40,000 because it's private money, we're actually going to be all out plus about $20,000. Couldn't care about the 20 grand, and the JV partner couldn't care about that at all. At the end of the day, you essentially have a free house. You'll do a gross cash flow of in between $5,500 and $6,000 a month. After all your expenses, you're probably going to be about $1,000 a month in your cash flow.
Okay.
If you're leaving 20 grand in, if you're pulling 20 grand out, I don't think it really matters at that point.
No, your ROI is up there in terms. It's pretty much infinity.
It's infinity at that point. Like you really can't put a number on it. So I think that'll be a huge win. We're definitely going to showcase this one, and we'll do lots of befores, lots of afters, lots of durings, and we'll share the numbers when we're done this one.
And it's a triplex conversion. So this also, duplex conversions are great, and they have been great for a long time. But as prices go up, we actually need more than 2 units to maintain our cash flows, right? And we always want to be positive cash flow, at the end of the day when the whole project is done, right? But so this is where we need, we need the 3rd unit, we need that 4th unit to keep those cash flows high. So, I tell a lot of my clients, and especially new investors, is let's look beyond just a simple bungalow conversion and doing a basement apartment. Let's try and get into tris and fours, as one of your first investments, because that's what we need.
Yeah, that's a great point too. Now, was this a 2.5 story house? Like, how are you splitting it?
So 2.5 story home. So we will definitely be utilizing the basement. So we'll be digging that down. We'll be doing a benching technique. It's a little bit less expensive than doing actually a lot less expensive than doing an underpinning, but we find we get the same. We get the same worth out of it, so that's the approach that we take, again, to save on costs and utilize as much space as we can. So it is a 2.5 story right now. There's a staircase that does go up to the attic. Unfortunately, we couldn't get up there because the staircase is in several pieces. But we will be finishing the loft space as well and making that part of the 2nd floor. So every square foot, every square inch of this house is going to be finished. It's going to be square footage. It's going to be valued to the bank on a refi.
Amazing. One final question is how many projects can you take on at once?
So we have a different process that we work with really when we're taking on projects. One of the things that we do is we kind of start projects right out of the gate. As soon as somebody closes it, we'll start with the demo. We'll start with the framing, and then we'll start with all the mechanicals, your underground plumbing, your HVAC, your electrical, and then we kind of let the project sit and wait either for permits or we'll wait to get it inspected. It's the finishings where right now, because of the shortage in labor, but we have a capacity to take on usually about 15 to 20 projects at a time.
Okay, awesome. Well, Lee, Ken, thank you so much for coming on the show. You both are great investors. I've seen your projects, your finishes are on point, and you provide the best return on investments with the appraisers and all that good stuff. So I know you have a lot of happy clients. Thanks for being great partners. And I will tell you, me being a Burr investor as well, having the right contractors and the right team in place is key. You at home, reach out to these guys. They are the real deal. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you, Sarah.